Hey everybody, it's Ed Bauman, EditEd4TV. Gonna go through one of the more popular downloads videos that I have on YouTube, which is my cover version of M83's Midnight City. And just to give you a sneak peek at what it is, here's how it goes. And it goes on from there. Everybody knows that song, although I found online that a lot of people don't know what the name of the song is, which is odd, but the Wee Woo song. So, as always, I always have a structure track, which sort of helps me figure out where I am in the song. I can just quickly go to where I need to go. It's just a dummy track. It's a blank combinator here in the rack structure. And there's nothing in there. Actually, there's a combinator here, but the combinator has no data, no contents. It's just a dummy track so that I can create these visual clips. And every song I've done different colors. There's no standard I've hit upon, except choruses. I think I'm always doing in yellow. But so I can quickly go to like verse 1 or verse 2 or the bridge. And this is a chorus here. Here's a solo. That's where the sax solo comes in here, which is the only sampled instrument in the whole thing. So let's start at the top though and go through these synths one by one. Each track, first thing we got is the chordal synth, which is right here. We open this up. It's a Thor mixer, a unison to give it a bit of chorus feel. It already has a chorus on it, but I added one more chorus device, which is a unison, and then a compressor to keep everything sort of down so it doesn't go over 0 dB. Chordal synth is actually playing the chords we hear in the intro of the song, which I think is G major. Yeah. And then it does a B minor. And then this is an A, add 4, no 5. So A major would be A, C sharp E, or A, D flat E. But then we add a 4, which is that D, and then no 5, which removes the E. So that with the A in the bass. And then back to G major. And then I believe a D, but it's an inversion of the D major. So, oops. Actually, it's a G over E, then the D. Anyway, so that's the chordal synth. And it's just a very basic, it's 2 oscillators, sawtooth, going through one filter. It's a bit of a muted filter, so it's not wide open. It does have some resonance to give it a bit of a ringing. That'd be flat. That would be flat. Not B flat note, but it's a flat sound without the resonance. Adds a bit of nasal quality to it and a specific pitch. No keyboard tracking, so it doesn't open up. So it's that same nasal quality through the whole thing. With keyboard tracking, it would be more muted on the low end and opens up at the high end. But without keyboard tracking, it's the same all through the whole thing. So that's chordal synth. After chordal synth, we have muted bass, and the muted bass is this track here. And that muted bass is a Thor. I love Thor, obviously. Again, 2 sawtooth oscillators, filter 1, almost the same as the last one. It may be a very similar patch, or I just copied it and opened up the filter a bit. Let's see. There's keyboard tracking, so that's a different patch. And there's shaper on this one, so you can hear these 2 oscillators. If I take off the shaper and match the tuning of these so they're both precisely 0. So, well, there's a chorus on there in unison as well, but ignoring the chorus in unison, if we listen to just this, it's 2 oscillators pretty much locked in there. But if you let them be detuned a bit, this one's at +7, this one's at -5. You hear it go, it's that little beep in there. And then with the shaper, it gets a little more harsh, a little buzzier. It's not a very strong shaper with the drive that low, but you can hear the shaper add some distortion. And then the unison just, it's more of a chorus effect. And again, a compressor to tamp it all down, hold it from overdriving the input. Although Reason does have a lot of overhead. So that's the muted bass. Next up is the crazy sound that everyone wants to know how it's made, and I call it simian. And this is the key to the whole song, really. Everyone's like, that weird sound. Now, I don't know what they originally did to make that sound in the original, but I found that I called it simian because this is sample based. There is a sample in the factory sound bank called Monkey. And if we double click on this, you can see that it's part of the sound effects samples in the factory sound bank. So, but it is edited. So if we option click on this and go to edit sample, it is much longer. I only use the initial part of this longer sample. If you want to hear the whole sample, let's see what we got here. Play sample. So that's a monkey. Let's hit cancel. But it's going through a lot of effects. So first effect it hits is a delay. And actually I can turn off all these. I'm going to do it manually because if I do bypass all effects, it's going to bypass all of them. And I don't want to do that right now. I just want to do this manually, one by one. So first off, we have an echo. And this is going to be very quiet because once it goes to the distortion, it really brings up the volume. But so let me turn it up for now just so we can hear it. So first off, we have a echo, which does this. It's just a very quick slap back kind of echo. Then it goes through scream distortion. So let's get this back and off back to normal-ish again. So that adds some distortion. Then unison adds a bit of chorusing effect to the whole thing. Pulverizer adds a bit more distortion to it. Quite a bit more. Let's bring this down. I don't know where we were before. I did not jot that down. And then a filter, which comes in later. There's some filter automation. it brings down this frequency so that you can get a muted sound. So that happens later. It's automated. And then some reverb, of course. And that's the sound. And again, I don't know what they used in the original, but that's how I recreated it. And see, there's the filter automation, and that is in the programmer. You can see that for the filter effect, I have rotary 3 controlling frequency. So that does drop down and back up again later in the song to create the muted, the opening up of the filter sound. So that's Simian. And let's see if I've messed up the volume levels here. Possibly. That's all right. Next up is the drum machine. And for the drum machine, this is all factory sound bank sounds, except for the toms, I think. And I can't remember where I got the toms, but if you open up the Kong, this is bass drum 3 vintage, snare drum 2 vintage. We've got a clap with a lot of reverb here. You can see each one comes up with their own little effects. Kick has no reverb, but the snare does. It's got a room reverb there. And the clap. Clap has its own room reverb also. And then there's the 3 toms, which are just called tom high, tom mid, tom low. And when I click on them, they don't go to anything in the factory sound bank, so I must have picked those up somewhere else. Then a hi-hat. And I think that is it for, yeah, that's it for the whole kit. So not much to it. Das Machine, that's the drum machine. Next up is the laser dive, which is just... see, actually, did I? Yeah. Laser dive. Without... If I hit bypass effects... Let's see, bypass effects. So, a lot is added with the reverb, and one delay on the left speaker, one delay on the right speaker. And the key to this, what's going on here is it is amplitude modulation. If you look here on the left edge of these 3 oscillators, you got AM from oscillator 2, and then you've got these 2 oscillators being affected by the mod envelope, I believe. Yeah, mod envelope is affecting pitch 1 and 2 and 3. And so there's a lot of diving going on, and all that comes into affect how analog oscillator 1 is receiving amplitude modulation. That's a whole other subject. I could talk for hours about amplitude modulation and frequency modulation. It's rocket science. To a certain degree, rocket science. So that's laser dive. Next up on the list is snappy bass, which sounds like this. Snappy bass is made up of a Thor, got an EQ that's bringing up some of the high end to give a little bit of crispiness, compressor to hold it down, and just 2 sawtooth oscillators going through a filter. You get a lot of mileage out of sawtooth oscillators going into a straight up low pass filter. Change your amplitude envelope a bit, change filter envelope, chorus delay, tons of sounds are made with just plain old sawtooth oscillators. No mystery. Some people will spend hours trying to get something just precise with all sorts of weird oscillators, and really, think about back in the day when all you had was 3 oscillators, really. Maybe 4 if you were lucky enough to have this little sine wave oscillator in your synth. And, you know, effects. You can get a lot out of that. So this snappy bass, what makes it snappy is the really high envelope, filter envelope strength. Without it, it's just muted. But a high filter envelope amount, and that's coming from this filter envelope, which has a very fast decay. Longer decay makes it longer to decay, right? So fast decay gives it that snap. You could put a little amplitude on the beginning and it would sort of do a wow thing. So that's snappy bass. Next up would be the buzzy bass. I think I should show you where the stuff's coming in. So snappy bass comes in halfway through the intro. So that's what snappy bass does right there. And there's the laser dive, and the drums come in. Next up is the buzzy bass, and the buzzy bass is buzzy, and it sounds like this. So it's playing the same notes as snappy bass. And buzzy bass sounds monophonic. Yeah, mono. And it's an FM. It's an FM pair. Oh, I changed something there, didn't I? So it's an FM pair oscillator. And then there's two more oscillators, two sawtooth, going through filter 2. And we could talk for days about FM synthesis, like I said earlier. But there's some modulation going on here. Oh, there you go. The mod wheel was controlling the amplitude envelope release time. Not sure why. That must do something later on in the song. So that's buzzy bass. Next up would be the lead synth, which in context of the song sounds like this. So it sounds like there's a lot of reverb, and there's like a noise. Yeah, so there's a noise. There's a noise oscillator. Let's turn off these two oscillators. Oop, still in the buzzy bass. So that's oscillator 3, and it's there's a lot of stuff you can do with this noise oscillator in Thor. It's got a lot of variables, a lot of control. Who would think so much could come out of noise? But yeah, a lot you can do. And then oscillator 2 goes to filter 1. That is a FM pair oscillator. And then oscillator 1 is the wavetable oscillator, which I love this oscillator. I mean, like I said, you can get a lot of mileage out of plain old sawtooth, triangle, square, and square/pulse and sine wave. But man, this thing's got some really great oscillators within it, or wavetables. It's based off of, I believe, the PPG 2.3, was it? So lots of cool things you can do with it. Very, very powerful oscillator. You know, I say very powerful in my eyes, my ears. That's what I hear. There's so much more technology now, but as far as old analog synth sounds, there's a lot you can get out of that guy. Lead synth. Next up would be buzzy chords, which sounds like this. And I believe it's playing different chords than the chordal synth. That might be the same one, that add 4, no 5. And buzzy chords is made up of... Now this is the multi-oscillator, which is like 8 sawtooth oscillators in one. So you're hearing 16 oscillators here. And it's hard to tell that there's 16 when the detune amount is so low. But if we bypass effects, let's hear just one. There's definitely stuff going on. And these are set to random 1. There's like 8 modes here, I think. Yeah, and each one's a little different, of course. Lots of power in the multi-oscillator. And actually there's 2 Thors with, so you got 16 more there. And wait, there's more. There's 3. There's another one there, so you got a lot of sound going on here. And this third one goes through a distortion. It's subtle stuff, but that's what I heard when I was recreating this song. So there's your buzzy chords. After buzzy chords is the warm pad. This is a really nice, soft. Definitely got a resonant filter going, wow, wow. It's got an ow to it. And that is 2 sawtooth oscillators going through a filter. Got some filter envelope amount, which is doing this. Without the envelope, it's... So you need the filter envelope. So it's affecting the filter. This filter envelope is, the filter is basically going up, then down, sustains right there, and then there's a release amount, so it doesn't just chop off at the end. See, that would be a chop off. You don't want that. So that's the warm pad. Love that part of the song. It's very simple, but it totally works. And then we have Tink, which is just a very small thing in the original, but... And it's just a very high B. And Tink is made up of 2 wavetable oscillators. So it's the sync sign. If I raise the amp envelope so I can hear this. This is just oscillator 1. Turn off crossfade so you can hear the individual waveforms in there. It's got 127 positions. And with crossfade makes it smooth. And then we also have oscillator 2. Doing a similar thing here. This one's got 127 also. But you can hear there's not exactly 127 in there. And now I don't know where I left it at. So it's a Tink. Put the effects back on. It's not where it was before, but that's alright. Just for demonstration purposes. And lastly, the sax solo, which is the only sampled instrument in the whole thing. And this is an NNXT through a lot of reverb, right? Because this is 80s. You gotta have your reverb. And it's just, you know, there's not a lot that I do with the RV7000. I love the plate setting, although this one has Hall. Love the plate reverb on the RV7000. And it's just sample. This is from the factory sound bank. This is soprano sax. And it's in the background. I would imagine they used a real sax for the real song, but I don't have a real sax that I can play, at least. I got a sax here at home. 2 of my kids play sax. And that is it. And then the song has a nice fade here at the end. And that's fading the master right there. And that is it for my cover version of M83's Midnight City. Hey! Alright, so that's it. I hope you like this. If you did like it, please hit the like button. Please subscribe. And after you hit subscribe, be sure to hit the little alarm bell icon thing so that you'll be notified when I upload new stuff. Also, please comment below if you have any questions. And if you look up in my videos, you can actually go and just see the full length of this song without me in the corner talking to you, explaining things. So thanks again. We will see you later. Bye-bye. You can go now. I'm done.